is not starting well, but let's see what we can do. I think I'm plugged in. Oh, there is already people in here. Hi, everyone. Hi, Fabiana, Laura, Elizabeth, Val, and Dennis. Hi, Laura. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Brad. Hi, Adrian. Mojándome. It just started raining, guys. Hi, Alex. It's, it could definitely be better weather. Unfortunately, it just started raining literally a few moments ago. Hey, Andrew. Hi, Rosalind. Hi, Andreas. How are you guys doing? I'm gutted. The weather is not on our side today. But if it stays like this, then at least we will be able to see something. I was concerned we were going to have proper stormy weather. It's just gray and miserable. But hey, this is Cantabria. Well, yes, Elizabeth, you will definitely be able to see the beach. Just not quite the same charm, but you will definitely be able to see the beach and see what the locals have to deal with, because this is kind of our our bread and butter, even though it may not have looked like that way from my previous tours. But anyway, I'm gonna get moving to the area where we normally start this tour. Well, actually, I'm doing the tour backwards today just because I thought if it really started pouring down, this area gave me a little bit more cover. But I don't know. My biggest concern is that, the rain sometimes interferes with the quality of the image and stuff like that. So as long as we can do something and it's not too disruptive for you guys, then we will endure. You should, well, yeah, I know, 100%. It is kind of like that in the UK as well, but the problem was that it looked like it was going to get better throughout the day. It teased me with sun, and then it just stayed like this. So anyway, there you go. Hi, Sue. Hi, Moira. Hi, Beata. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome to Santander, to unfortunately gray and rainy Santander. And to think that a week ago I was at 36 degrees in Sevilla. The shock is for real. Hi, Mana. Hi, how are you all doing? I hope that you're at least dry, unlike here. It's actually not too bad, guys. I shouldn't really be whining too much about it. In Cantabria, it could be a lot worse right now. Hi, Mindy. Welcome. And actually, I have 30 seconds to go. And I'm actually going to show you something that I normally forget to show here, but that I think you guys will like. And it doesn't matter if it's raining or not. It still adds to your experience of Santander and Cantabria. So I'm actually going to come over to this edge, which is a bit further away from where we normally start. Hi, Judy. Hi, Elaine. We're literally about to start here in rainy Santander. So welcome and thank you for joining me. Okay, well, here I am trying not to get too wet and trying to, well, hopefully the signal will stay with us and I'll be able to show you something, guys. But I am joining you today from Santander, Cantabria, which is my hometown. Hi, Joe. Welcome to rainy Santander. Not as sunny as the other day. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Lilian Céspedes González. I am a historian and tour guide. Normally, my headquarters are in the city of Southampton in the UK, but Santander is my hometown. It is my dad's 50th birthday at the end of this month, so I thought it was a good idea to come and celebrate his 50th with him throughout the rest of June and show you different parts of Spain. It is our second day touring in Santander, and the traditional Cantabrian weather has pronounced itself with its horrible grayness and rain. Hi, Monica. And actually, if anyone knows about the grayness of the north, is my colleague Monica here. If you guys don't know Monica, Monica is also a tour guide in the north of Spain, in Galicia, where part of my family comes from. And she has to deal with this literally 24/7. So, kudos to her for taking us to amazing places when it's doing like this. Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth. He's going to have a blast. He's going to be spoiled rotten. Heidi, welcome to rainy Santander. Now, if any of you are new to heygo and you need a few pointers to how this works, I'll give you a reminder. You have a button in the middle to take some pictures, which hopefully will not be terribly rainy and foggy by the weather. So let me know if you take any good pictures today. I would love to see them. You also have chat here, so you can put any messages for me to read or for your voyagers to comment. And there is also a button where you can donate your money and leave us a tip, which is the way us heygo guides actually get paid. That's how you can support us. Don't worry if you can't actually do that. At no point you will ever be forced to, or you will be expected to do this all the time. We understand that, financial needs are always changing, but all your support is always welcome. And for those of you who have already tipped, thank you so much for your kindness. And without any more delay, let's get going. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Poppy. We are in rainy north of Spain, and I'm going to flip the camera to show you what the weather is like here today, guys. This is El Sardinero beach. Normally, it looks a lot nicer than this, but this gives you an idea of what Cantabria is like, because you kind of have everything that we are about here in the north of Spain summarized in this image. We have the cliffs here on the left. That is the area known as Mataleñas. And here, although a bit misty because of the rain, I'm sure you can see some trees popping in the horizon. That is actually one of the most popular golf clubs that we have here in the north of Spain, is the Golf Club of Mataleñas. And on a good day, the views while you're playing golf are amazing. On a day like today, there is obviously nobody in there because nobody wants to get wet playing golf. But as you can see, we are very privileged here in Santander because we have these amazing views. I'm just going to zoom out. This is the Cantabrian Sea. It is the piece of water that is literally on the opposite end of the channel. So if you're from the UK, this is what your water looks, but from the other side of the sea. And as you can see, it's very, very foggy, very misty on the other end. This is a very typical day here in Cantabria in Santander. When I was younger, it actually used to rain about 200 days a year. And the weather has improved since I've gone to the UK. And in fact, my parents usually say that I bring the rain with me. Maybe that's why they sort of casted me away to Britain, where I belonged. But this is actually quite normal for us. So don't be alarmed by the rain. The rain in Spain actually doesn't mostly fall in the plain. It falls mostly in the north. And the reason for that is because we have the Cantabrian Sea and the huge mountains behind us. Now, there are some questions here, and I'm going to try and catch up with it while I am still able to scroll through. What's it like for fishing? Well, actually, I don't know if you can see, there are some gentlemen there with some umbrellas. They are actually fishing there. So I may even be able to show you some of the catch of the day. But first, I want to show you actually a statue to someone that I've never shown on a tour before. So you're going to be the very first ones to see. And this is a sort of semi-mythical, semi-historical character. Can you see that man there with the flag sort of emerging from the trees? I'm just making sure that I don't get run over by a car. That is Corocota. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see him a bit better. The trees providing some very Cantabrian cover. And Corocota was supposed to be like a leader of the original tribes here from Cantabria that sort of stood against the Romans and against the invaders. And he's very much loved as a sort of symbol of independence and what Cantabria is all about, which is toughness and resistance against anything that sort of tries to get in our way. It's sort of tucked away here, which is a shame because he used to be a very important figure of sort of our general historical legends and mythology, but it's kind of been a bit forgotten, like a lot of our Cantabrian mythology, which is actually very rich. And in days like today, you would actually get the fishermen and the sailors saying, "Ooh, careful with that mist and with that wind. The nuberus or the ventolines could take you away." You know, in places like this, people would make up all sorts of stories to try and justify the great miseries that actually happen in a lot of coastal towns in the north of Spain, which is, well, tragedies at sea. Because there where you see it, and although it probably looks very pleasant from the screen, the Cantabrian Sea is actually one of the most dangerous waters that we have on this part of the world. And although unusual in this day and age, we still get a few shipwrecks every now and then. Well, Elizabeth, I'm glad that you think it's still lovely in the rain. The locals are sort of used to it, but as you can see, this this is starting to get choppy. And this is not even with a particularly strong tide, guys. When a storm comes here, it gets legitimately fierce. From what I could see, he must be fishing in the shallows. Yes, it is. It's not very deep water in here just yet. Although if we were actually to go just where that cliff was, where I've just shown you, you would already be literally in the actual sea basin. And I'm not sure what this gentleman is fishing here, but I'm gonna have a look, see if maybe he will tell me, although he seems engaged in his radio. But this is actually quite common. The Sea of Cantabria and anywhere around the coast of Cantabria, you're actually, as long as you have a license, you can fish anywhere. So as long as you're not poaching, this is absolutely normal and fine. And we actually see this a lot around the Bay Area. If you were with me the other day around the Bay, you would see. I'm just gonna ask him. ¿Pica algo hoy o nada? Nada. Agua y agua. I just asked him if anything was sort of catching up, and he just said nothing, just water. He didn't seem very impressed. So I think he's trying his luck. But sometimes, Adrian, and for those of you interested, around these parts, because it's quite sort of rocky because of the cliffs, sometimes you get little octopuses and cuttlefish and things like that. So if you have the right type of baits, etc., you can catch those here with just a normal fishing hook, or the appropriate fishing hook for that stuff. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Bev. Hi, Debs. So this is the posh part of El Sardinero beach. Because what you are actually seeing, although covered in rain, is the most popular beach here in Santander. And this, El Chiqui, is actually one of the most expensive hotels in the entirety of the city, because as you can imagine, not everyone is as privileged to have the views that I'm showing you, as their views. On a rainy day, of course, it's not the nicest, but imagine this on a good day. Like, use your imagination. I'm sort of trying to evoke this. You have the sea, you have the sand, and then all of that nature that you kind of can see in the horizon, although a bit misty. Just imagine a little sunshine there, and it's just green and beautiful. I promise you, it really is. But, well, most of the time we see it like this, and that's really all we have. Look like he was using a pole instead of a rod. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. Admittedly, I don't know an awful lot about fishing, so I will admit that, but I think you are right from the little I know. I think you're absolutely spot on the money. Love the lampposts. Well, yeah, these are actually traditional lampposts. Although they have now the LED lights, these had been like that since the beginning of the 20th century. And this entire area, I don't know if you can see, blue is quite a predominant color. It's actually blue is one of the colors of Santander. So it was kind of part of our branding, and this sort of wrought iron lampposts that we have all around here were very iconic for a really long time. And you may be seeing them all the way along this walk. Some of them, they've been removed just because they were a bit dated, but the ones that have sort of kept their shape have been they just keep on being painted over, and they serve purpose. And actually, I don't know if you can see, but we are going to see a very traditional, popular pastime here in Cantabria, no matter the weather. And in fact, they normally prefer it when it rains, which is our football beach clubs. My dad actually is part of one of them, and under normal circumstances, if he wasn't working today, he probably would be playing. This is not his, it's actually another one. But those gentlemen that are there are taking advantage of the fact that nobody is at the beach to actually be playing some football. And it's really, really good sport. And there is a whole federation for that type of stuff here. We actually like taking a lot of our traditional sports to the beach instead in Cantabria. And it's really, really good exercise, but it's also really tricky because I'm sure you can see, I'll stop for a moment so you can notice how murky that sand is looking like. That's quite dangerous. If the ball goes over there, or if it gets into your pitch, you could easily trip over, get your foot stuck in the muddy sand and genuinely get into a pickle. So these gentlemen, and I mean, I say gentlemen, but they tend to be older guys. They are They're normally here every single weekend, and sometimes if the tide is low enough, then they come here during the sort of evenings or early mornings. Sometimes they have football matches here as early as 8 a.m. to have a little bit of exercise. Hi, Christina. Hi, Pat. And this is rather common. On a normal day, and in fact, the other day when we were doing this, there were people playing palas, which is a traditional Cantabrian sport, a bit like tennis at the beach, with wooden planks. I'm just going to sort of give you an idea. As you can see, it's a fair few of them. Just going to zoom in. And they literally will be at it until either they get tired or they decide that, well, the rain is too much and call it a day. But this is quite common here, at least in Santander and in the north of Spain. We have like internal leagues and things like that. And they get quite popular as well in the summer, obviously, because everyone likes playing in the good weather. So if you see these guys playing out here as it's raining today, you know that they're properly devoted to their league club. Yes, it generally is. It's not pleasant. My dad plays in another smaller beach normally, which is actually by the cliffs, because it's a bit more secluded in between the cliffs. You get a bit more cover from the wind and the rain, and it's a bit easier, but it can be a bit tricky. Right, well, I'm just going to take you now to something that has become quite trendy, and maybe you've seen when we were in Mérida, but every single town now in Spain has like their own lettering to sort of promote themselves. And this is our Santander Ciudad stand. So a lot of people come here to take their selfies and whatnot. I don't know why this tradition started. I hadn't really seen it anywhere else other than in places surrounding Spain. But every major town in the surrounding areas has them, and this one was actually put here just the year before the pandemic started, so it's relatively new. It's just we just call it football playa, so literally football in the beach. We're very simple for those kind of things, Pat. We don't get very elaborate. We're just straight to the point, and that's our Santander lettering. And here on this side there is a bit of a strange statue that we have here for no apparent good reason. I first saw one in Israel. Oh, well, maybe, honestly, I would be really intrigued to know where it started, because it sort of started popping out of the blue one day, and I started seeing it everywhere, and now it's kind of weird seeing a place that doesn't have it. And yeah, they definitely enjoy this. If you are from Cantabria, you kind of have to get used to it, and enjoy nature is part of what we do. And this, you have to use your imagination, guys. But this is supposedly, it's modern art, so bear with me. It's only from 2001. It is an image to Don Quixote, El Quijote de la Mancha, the famous character from the novels from Cervantes, the acclaimed Spanish author who is compared to Shakespeare quite often. I don't know if I see the resemblance with El Quijote or not. I guess you have the sort of lance poking in there, which is supposed to be his, favorite weapon, and I guess that sort of resembles the shape of a person. But other than that, it's a bit too abstract for me, maybe, I don't know. But it was installed here in 2001, not because there is any particular connection between the city of Santander or Cantabria with Cervantes or El Quijote, but because when these celebrations came about from the release of the novel, the entirety of Spain, every single town did something to celebrate it. We are very, very proud of our artists and writers from the Spanish Golden Age, which is the 16th and 17th century. So, of course, Quixote is kind of like a symbol of Spanishness, if you like. You know what? Now that you've said the hummingbird, I completely see that, Envy. It looks more like a fan of a windmill. Well, I wonder if there is some symbology involved in there, because, Quixote used to go against the windmills from Castilla-La Mancha, from the Central Plains in Spain. So perhaps that's actually what it's supposed to represent. I think maybe you guys are more on the money than I am. I try to sort of rationalize it a bit too much, thinking, yes, there is definitely something Quixote about this. But maybe it wasn't quite like that. Depends what little tablets you've been taking. Adrian, I think you may be spot on. Honestly, it's one of those things that I love about art. You guys have seen something else, and I was sort of trying to see what I wanted to see. I don't know. So the good thing is that it keeps us on our toes, which is important. Well, this is actually the longest beach here in Santander, by the way. We're on the second beach of El Sardinero. That sort of prominent salient that goes towards the sea is what divides the two beaches. And the second beach of El Sardinero, which is what we're going through just now, is actually nearly 2 kilometers long. This gets full, and I mean full of people when the weather is nice. Everyone wants to come here to sunbathe, and they particularly come here because the water levels and the water temperature is actually different from the other beaches that are closer to the bay, closer to where I finished my tour the other day. So there is always, the people that are a bit more savvy about where they go for the beach prefer coming here. Also because the sand is a bit finer than on the other side of the bay. I may be able to actually get down here, but this is all literally very, very fine sand. It all comes from the limestone from the cliffs that you've seen just over there. While on the other side of the Magdalena Peninsula and nearby the bay, we do still have some small pebbles, which, I mean, particularly for the folks in the UK, is nothing new under the sun. But in Spain, having pebbles in a beach, that's not a beach, that's heresy. We take our beach game very seriously. But yeah, I'll see what else we have around here. This is one of the very few restaurants and cafeterias that we have in this area. Normally, the sort of hospitality industry around here is quite regulated, just to avoid the pollution of the beach itself, because we had serious problems with people doing botellón. Now, I don't know if any of you know what botellón means, but don't worry, I'll explain. But in the meantime, look, here are some people playing something that I bet you were not expecting to see in Spain. They're actually playing rugby, guys, here at the beach. I'm just gonna zoom in for you. I'm just gonna catch up with the chat very quickly. You're doing well touring the rain. I had an awful tour. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeannie. This is our curse. Have a weekend in Amsterdam at Space Cakes and you might... Adrian, you're so funny. It may not be so good with modern art, but I clearly see a beautiful beach. Well, at least we can be sure of something. Hello, Sue. How are you doing? So yeah, as you can see, guys, these people are playing rugby, and it's actually mixed rugby because there are several girls playing, and we actually are pretty good at rugby here in Spain. It's something that not a lot of people know about. We are not quite at the level of places like the UK or Australia or places like that, but we do like our rugby quite a lot, and we've developed quite a passion for it. And training at it at the beach gives you a lot of core resistance, because obviously, if you can run as fast or move as cohesively as you can through here, then once you're in the grass, you're unstoppable. So it's really good training grounds for a lot of these people. And as you can see, some other guys over there are walking their dogs. This is something quite popular here in Spain as well. You are not allowed to keep a dog out of the lead unless it is at specific dedicated dog areas. The beach is one of them, but as long as it's not beach season and there is people using it. Otherwise, you can get quite severely fined. And returning to the subject of botellón, as you can imagine, this area was quite popular amongst the youths, still is quite popular amongst the youths, particularly in the nice sunny weather. We have a Lupa over there, that is a local supermarket, and over here are some gardens, the Parque de Mesones and the gardens. So in the nice weather, young people would normally come here with essentially cheap alcohol. Traditional botellón looks like calimocho. In case you don't know what that exotic drink is, it's actually the cheapest red wine that you can find, mixed with the worst Coca-Cola that you can imagine, and you would drink in a pint glass, not even in a nice wine glass. and so on and so forth. And for many, many years, we had a serious problem of this beach, alongside with every single beach and park in Santander, being completely littered. And we started having issues with our wildlife being obviously damaged. So the local authorities sort of have tried to do everything that they can to try to discourage those type of situations. Please explain about the island we can see on the coast. Yes, I will explain about the island. I'm just going to get to the other side so you can see it a bit better. This is also one of our Michelin star restaurants here in Santander, El Cerval. They have very nice food. And this one down here, Querida Margarita, is like their sort of outlet version or low-cost version of the same thing. So for 20 euros, you can eat Michelin star quality here right by the beach, which is actually not a really bad deal at all. I've eaten there last summer. The food is actually really nice. So if you ever come to Santander and you want to have the best views in town, because that's what you will see out of the window, and you want to have a really nice meal, come here to the second beach of El Sardinero, to El Cerval or Querida Margarita, and you will get a very nice meal. And this island that you see there, well, it's actually, there's two islands. I've just walked into a puddle. Oh well. There goes my shoes. Well, you can see probably two sort of islands. One that is very, very faint. I'm just going to put my finger through the camera, guys, so don't take any postcards now. That one there, I don't know if you can see that little blur over there. It has actually a small lighthouse, which is used to aid any of the boats that may be coming through here. But that other block of land that you see over there is actually not an island, it's the peninsula of the Magdalena. Thank you so much for your tip, Elizabeth. Thank you. We are actually going to be going to the peninsula, I think it's next week or the following one, because over there in Magdalena Peninsula we have a forested area, a beach, and a royal residence, which used to be owned by King Alfonso XIII and the Queen Victoria Eugenia, who was one of the daughters from Queen Victoria herself. And she was a very trendy lady, and the women of Santander actually loved her dearly because she used to bring very nice fancy dresses all the way from the UK, and so she brought us quite a lot of new innovative fashions that maybe we weren't so aware of here. And the reason why the peninsula of the Magdalena is mostly famous for is for that castle. On a normal day, you would be able to see the tower. I'm going to try and zoom in case you can actually sort of see. I don't know if quite, I think you may be able to just about make it. Right there at the top, maybe a bit of a square shape at the top of the hill. That is the top of the tower of the Magdalena Palace. I'm just going to zoom out now, guys. So, like I said, we will be there in a couple of weeks' time because Magdalena has quite an interesting story. The palace itself is actually just from the early 20th century, but the general lands around there had been in the ownership of the community of Santander for quite some time. We used to have a little zoo in there. Well, in fact, we do still have some seals and some penguins, not in their most natural habitat, so there's some concerns being raised about it. But we also have some very nice beaches there, and like I said, a forested area that is also under the care of the local authorities to preserve our local wildlife. Because in Cantabria, having so much nature around us, we are actually quite environmentally conscious in that regards. You know, it's not everywhere that you get the beaches that we have, that you get the mountains that we have, and I mean mountains, you know. In the interior of Cantabria, you go over 2,000 meters above the sea level, which is considerable. So we try to do everything that we can to support the wildlife here by the sea and also in any of the forested areas that we have. Oh, hi everyone that just joined. Sorry, with the water, the chat sort of freezes a little bit every so often. Hi Emily, hi Chiki, hi Christina, hi Chas, hi Deborah. MB, Cantabria is a beautiful name. It makes me feel joyous. I think it has a beautiful sounding name. A lot of people sometimes mistake it with Calabria in the area of Italy. And as you can see, you know, even out on a bad day, people are still practicing their sports. Volleyball is very, very popular here as well. And another one that starts very soon, and that actually my sister plays, is the beach handball league, because here in Spain, handball is actually our third most popular sport, and we do pretty well normally when we have any Olympic Games or anything like that. We don't do too bad. So, I mean, if the locals are out enjoying themselves, I hope that makes you realize that, A, we're kind of used to this horrible gray weather, but we also try to make the most out of it, because, well, if you know, the weather doesn't care whether you want to have fun or whether you want to stay at home, right? Which is what I also always say, you know, unless the weather is horrible, I always try to carry on with my tours, because nature doesn't care if you want a sunny day or a rainy day. When you're walking and learning things, you have to adapt. So unless it's physically dangerous for us to go outside, I always try to carry on, because you never know what you can see and what you can find. And this is now getting towards the area that I'm hoping we can get before the end of the tour. Normally, by now, we would probably have been there, but I'm having to be a bit careful, because I don't know if you can see this type of material that we have here on the pavement. It's actually a little bit slippery. We have a serious problem of design in a city where it rains so much. We have a lot of surface areas that are really not designed to cope with the rain. So I'm sort of having to watch my step a little bit. But before we get to the area of Piquillo, which is where we will do the end of our tour, I would like to give you a sort of back view of the second beach of El Sardinero, because the rain has just given us a very small moment to take this beautiful postcard, which I think you guys will really enjoy. So let me sort of position myself. Hi, Tommy. Hi, Jose. And it is currently, the temperature is actually not too bad, guys. It's actually 19 degrees right now here, with a humidity level of, 90%. So look at this. Again, imagine it under a lovely sunny day. It's not too bad, is it? Not too bad. So that building that you see here, I'm just going to zoom in now. That building that you see there, that's where we started. That's the Chiqui Hotel, one of the most expensive hotels in town. Over there on the right, that is the area of the cliffs of Mataleñas with the golf club. And this side over here is the walk that we've been doing, and where people have been playing football, rugby, and volleyball, which actually is surprising, because I didn't expect a lot of people to be out right now. So there you go. Yes, there you go. I'm literally just carrying a very light hoodie, which is probably not the smartest thing to do. We have a name, a very funny name, I think, for the type of rain that we have right now where I am in Santander. We call it cala bobos. I'll spell that for you. It's CALABOBOS. Now, cala comes from the verb calar, which literally means to get soaked, to get wet. And bobos means someone who is a little daft. So, because this rain is so thin, it's a little bit like mist. It's kind of the sort of thing that you think, it's just spitting, I'll be fine. And then 10 minutes later, you're completely and utterly drenched. There you go. That's Monica has written it for you guys. So we call it that, and it genuinely is true to its name. I can feel all of my clothes sort of a little bit heavier than they were before we started this tour. Thank you so much for your tip, Cheryl. You're very, very, very kind. And as you can see, we're now approaching Piquillo, just having to avoid some of these puddles. And normally I could take the upper level, but I think even though the weather isn't very nice, this view is nicer. What a great word. Well, I don't know if it's great or not, but it's definitely accurate, Moira. There is a suggestion you could put to the local authority. Is there a compound that can be painted? Well, you know what, Adrian? This has actually been said several times. I don't know if any of you guys were with me in the tour the other day by the bay, but you may have noticed that instead of this type of pavement, there was like a sort of plasticky cover covering the paths and stuff. All of that used to be gravel. And I mean, gravel is, it just gets a bit gross when it rains, but it doesn't cause many problems. But that type of compound that they put in there, as soon as it rains, it kind of just amplifies the the effect of the rain. And one of the architects that was actually doing some of the work here, I think they suggested doing something like that because it's used actually in many places. But well, let's just say that the city authorities here are a lot more concerned about making things look pretty rather than functional. And that brings us to something that may happen to this area, that it is quite controversial. And well, hopefully we won't have to see that anytime soon, but something needs to be done about it. Hey Sharon. So this area of Piquillo, I'm sure you can see, looks a little bit sort of like exotic. It looks more like the Caribbean than the north of Spain. You know, can guarantee you palm trees are definitely not local. But they sort of wanted to bring that sort of edge and cool to this part of town because thanks to the king and the queen that I was mentioning earlier, Alfonso XIII and his wife, Victoria Eugenia, this part of town and Cantabria in general became really popular for quite some time for the nobility and the people with money. And this part of Spain, and generally any coastal town in Spain that had a decent beach, had already been a popular touristic destination since the 19th century because of the baños de ola. That's how we call them here. Literally is the baths of the waves. That's the translation of it. And all it means is that people would come and just get splashed by the waves because that was supposed to give you good health. And as you can see, there is one thing we can guarantee you here is definitely waves. Hello, Mandy. Nice having you on board. Well, because of all of those people were coming by and they were bringing money, the local authorities wanted to make, well, more of a statement. They wanted to increase the cool of Santander, so they decided to decorate this area. But as you can see, the pavement is all cracked, the benches have seen better days, and although on a nice day, this is still quite charming in its own right, although a little bit dated, the pavement is so bad that if you are walking here with just, a bit worn off shoes, or you are not careful, and particularly for elderly people, you definitely right, Elizabeth, you can trip quite easily. And I mean, it's not like we are in an area where tripping couldn't cause a bigger accident. So the people of Santander have been asking for this area to be, I'm not even telling you, redecorated. We don't care about making it prettier or whatever. We just care about making it safe and making it usable. So the local authorities decided, okay, we have some money from some grants to renovate the city. Let's apply it to this area. And in the process of doing so, because they are sort of trying to generally create a better image for Santander, they thought maybe they should just put all of this area that you're seeing down and make it anew. Now, I'm not suggesting this is the prettiest garden area ever, but it's not so bad, particularly not on a sunny day. This is actually quite pleasant. They found some original plans from the late 19th century, which were the designs that they originally wanted to put in here, but they never put. And they were like, oh, it's okay, we will make it like it was supposed to, and we never did. But as you will see, or may have seen already on my previous tours, we've had a few issues with how the new plans of redevelopment for the city have gone. A lot of buildings and facilities that we were promised that were going to be very cool and sort of nice and shiny have gone really south, and people just don't trust the local authorities to deliver that sort of vision. So there is actually a motion to try and stop this and just fix the floor and renovate the benches, which are definitely necessary, but keep the rest of the vibe and the materials more or less as they are. Now, this is what we call our balcony into El Sardinero because of this interesting design. Some people say that it reminds them a bit of the designs of Gaudí at Park Güell in the area of Catalunya in Barcelona. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but if you have, maybe you can see the resemblance. I sort of see it and I sort of don't. It's relatively new from the 90s. And this is a Rosa de los Vientos. It is supposed to be a device that sort of, tells you which way things are. And I don't know if you can see here engraved, there is some monuments. That's the Vatican, that's the Brandenburg Tor, that's the Eiffel Tower. Those are the Houses of Parliament. But this area has not been very well kept, like I was saying. So it's just looking a bit sorry for itself. And that's why people are saying, this needs to be maintained. This needs to be preserved a bit better. Even the color on this beautiful brickwork is a little bit lacking. So those are the type of things that we're sort of trying to advocate, so that these lovely view spots, as you can see, can be preserved for many, many more generations to come. So, for those of you who may have joined in later, hi Lenny, or who need a reminder, we are in El Sardinero beach. We are currently seeing the first beach of El Sardinero. So the area where we are right now on the platform of Piquillo divides the Sardinero beach into the first one, which is what you're looking at, and the second one, which is what we have behind. Here, starting from the left, I'm just gonna put my finger through the camera, so bear with me. This area here, that peninsula there, is the peninsula of the Magdalena. We have a palace there, which is named after the peninsula. Then over there you have one of the most expensive streets here in the entirety of Santander. Over here we have Piquillo, which is our little gardens that separate the two beaches. And then over there you have the second beach of El Sardinero. And that's the area where we've come walking from today, despite of the rain. I think we've done pretty well so far, guys. Hi, Denise. So, because the rain is actually giving me a chance, I'm gonna try to finish this tour in the area where you can see some of the most expensive buildings in town, which are the casino, the Sardinero Hotel, and Plaza Italia. And then I'll explain you why Plaza Italia is called that. And it will give you a little warm-up for some of the topics that I am discussing tomorrow in my tour, a brief history of Santander, and particularly in the tour that I will do of Magdalena Palace, because it has to do with the dark past of the city and of the country. And that building, by the way, just there, which is actually on the beach, I don't know if you can see them from here. Maybe with the zoom I'll be able to get them, perhaps a little bit closer. It's actually the surf school. We have in Cantabria some of the best surfing schools and teachers in not just Spain, but a lot of Europe. And it's kind of a little kept secret, for those who are in the know and who like water sports. They know that the north of Spain, and Cantabria particularly, is the place to go for it. But not many people sort of outside of that world know about it. But it's not just all of the other sports that we've seen today. It seems like everyone doing sports is out today, guys. But we take our water sports very seriously. And, it takes guts, I must say, to go out into the Cantabrian Sea and do all of these things. This is not like the Mediterranean, which for people like me, we call the Mediterranean a soup. It's a little bit of a joke, just because, the Mediterranean is a lot warmer, the waters are a lot clearer, and it's a lot more stable. The Cantabrian Sea has not only the currents of the Atlantic, but the specific movements of the English Channel, which actually makes it rather dangerous. So the fact that these people, decide to learn to do these things out here, I always think is amazing, because I don't think I would have the guts, essentially. Oh, hi everyone that just joined. Hi Calvin, hi Melissa, hi Wayne. We are just walking towards Plaza Italia here at El Sardinero Beach. And the rain is actually stopping. So maybe we will not get as drenched as I thought we were gonna get, guys. Hi Rachel. So as you can see, we have another little sort of balcony area here. And the reason for all of these nice promenades was because, like I said, you are currently looking towards the area where the vast majority of the money of the city was. A lot of this money came from friends, family, relatives, etc. of the King and the Queen of Spain at the beginning of the 20th century, because the King and the Queen of Spain were coming here to spend the summer, and everyone else wanted to do it, right? It was the fashionable thing to do, the old-fashioned influencer vibe, if you like. So everyone started buying houses around here or in the second line beyond the sort of waterfront. So this area had to be redeveloped. So everything that you see here right now, including this balcony, was actually developed during the early stages of the 20th century. And I really mean the early stages, like the 1910s and the 1920s. And the streets here were made particularly wide so that people could come walk and show off. Something that not everyone is aware of, but these promenades from the late 19th and early 20th century were literally like, if you like, the unplugged social media of the time. That's where you went with your, nice dress that you just bought from an Italian designer recently, and you just want to show everyone off. And the reason why you took it here and you wore it that way was because you knew everyone else that you wanted to know you had that was going to be here doing the same thing. So that's kind of why these types of places became really popular and why you have them in a lot of coastal towns. I'm not just talking of Santander, literally something that you can see in France. Like if you go to Biarritz, the walking area around the coast is very similar. And if you go to a lot of places around the UK, like for example, the area where Jeannie lives in sort of Sussex and even in some places in Hampshire, definitely not Southampton, but some other places in Hampshire, you would find very similar designs. This building that you see here is the second most expensive hotel in town. It's the Hotel Sardinero, the Sardinero Hotel. And despite being so expensive and having the views that it has, the restaurant is actually one of the poshest yet most affordable places where you can eat in the city. And kind of like in El Cerval that we saw earlier by the second beach of El Sardinero, you can eat very good food. It's not Michelin star in this case, but very good food for literally 20 euros max for the menú del día, the menu of the day, which is a very common way of eating here in Spain. It's sort of like a set menu. You know, the kitchen just works with that. Set orders to make their life easier. And you just order that. They bring you however many plates that they have. Normally there is a first, second, and a dessert, as well as bread and wine, normally. Like strolling on the Fifth Avenue in New York, exactly the same type of idea right there. Did they start showing off at the same time? Yes, 100%, Jeannie. It was very much the same, and part of that was because of Victoria Eugenia, the wife of the king. She was a descendant of Queen Victoria, so of course she imported a lot of those very quaint and well-known British traditions here to Spain, and obviously no one wanted to be less cool than the Queen. Everyone had to be the same way, so they caught up to that very well. And in fact, we have a bit of a reputation, and if Monica is in the chat, she may be able to confirm this. We have a bit of a reputation that us people from Santander are a little snob. let's just call it the way it is. A lot of people, not just people from Cantabria, but in general, people from the north of Spain and people from the south of Spain think that we are a little bit snobbish because of that, because we have a little bit of a Britishness into us. I'll leave that up to you guys for your own considerations. You know, that's, I don't know if that's necessarily the truth or not, but it's definitely what the rumors say here in town. Some people of Santander would parade in fur. Yes, that is actually true. And in Santander, you have an insane amount of shops in the city center. I actually will be able to show you some in my walk of Santander on Friday that are peleterias. And a peleteria is not just like a leather workshop, it's specifically for furs. And a lot of ladies here still have that. And I don't mean ladies of a certain age. I do mean even, you know, much younger people than you would expect. And this, in case, I mean, I'm sure you can probably see it there. This is our casino. It's from the exact same time period that the rest of the buildings around here, early 20th century. It is also on top of a casino. They do have rooms in here. And of course, they have a wonderful restaurant, because what you do in this part of town is sleep, go to the beach and eat. That's literally what you do here. And it is a really nice building, absolutely gorgeous building. And this square is called Plaza de Italia, which literally means Italy Square. Hi, Natalie. Hello. It's not a bad life plan, I must admit. Now, you'll probably be wondering, why is it called Italy Square? You're in Spain. Well, here comes the dark part of the history of Santander and of Spain. And with that little story and these couple of little decorations that they've put here because of the summer, that would be the end of our tour. So for those of you who don't know, Spain actually went through a very, very horrible 20th century, literally from the beginning to the end. There was not a single good thing about our history then. One of those horrible dark moments is the Civil War. Now, throughout the Civil War, Spain had been supporting the Republican government, which was the established and legitimate government of the country. The rebel militaries had actually done a coup d'etat, and they had, rebelled against established forces to impose their fascist ideologies and govern that way. It was, in fact, the fascist regime that had been doing most of the conquering of the north of Spain, although the Italian troops were supposed to be providing aid here in Cantabria because they hadn't had a very good campaign. Mussolini had set some friends here to sort of, train more than anything. This was a training ground, if you like, rather than an actual proper battle for them, but it hadn't gone very well for the Italian troops. So after the military from the Spanish rebel side took over the city of Santander and they started marching into this area, you cannot really go much farther north than here. Other than that, that's the sea. So they let the Italians march onto this area to finally confirm and testify that Santander, like the rest of the country, had been conquered. And because of that march of the Italian troops, the square is called Plaza Italia. And that's the little dark story of the square itself, and the reason why for a really long time Spain and Santander in particular was in favor of the Franquist regime, to the point that we are still called Fachander. Now, facha is like the short word to call someone a fascist. So if you call Fachander instead of Santander is because you're trying to suggest that people from Santander are fascist. And admittedly, our political tendencies here for a really long time have gone to that side. But, guys, I don't like ending tours on a sad note. So I thought I would show you this instead. So this was another one of our expensive restaurants here. It's changed names recently and it's called Maremondo. But when they were redeveloping it in the 80s and in the 70s, they actually commissioned this piece of art to a local artist. His name is Horayo, and he was actually the art teacher at the high school where I studied. He was still teaching at the time I was there. He actually taught my mom, and he's an artist that is very much committed to the development of the city. So I think it's really cool that you can come to such a prominent part of town and see his work here. Whether you like it or not, that's, entirely up for you guys to decide whether it's worthy of the place or not. But the fact that the city is always trying to promote, what we have in here, the art and talent that we have in town, I think is really cool. And the fact that after 20 plus years and the restaurant itself changing hands, the painting has been preserved, is definitely something worth mentioning. And on that front, if you guys actually like this type of art or mural art, I'm doing a street art tour of Santander next week, where we will actually be able to see street art from one of the most famous street art, graffiti artist, you can call it, or just artist of the current times, which is Okuda San Miguel, who is originally from Santander. So as you can see, the tradition has been there for a really long time. And now I'm just going to take off the zoom and I'm going to flip the camera because that's my time. Nice to have local artists. Yes, honestly, he actually did a lot for the community, and still he pretty much worked until he was forced to retire. So we were really lucky to have such a artist teaching us. And that's all for today, guys. We've survived the rain, which is great. I was genuinely very concerned that it was going to get really nasty and we weren't going to be able to go ahead. So thank you so much for sticking with me and for actually giving the beach a go, even though I appreciate it's not really beach weather. But I hope that you've liked some of what you've seen today. I hope that maybe you're warming up to Cantabria and to Santander a little bit more. If nothing else, the weather is very, ideal for sitting down and having a nice cup of tea in all of these lovely restaurants. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your messages. And I will see you tomorrow if you join me for any of my tours. And if not, well, I have literally tours pretty much every single day of the week and of the month, because I'm trying to beat again the heygo 15 challenge. So I hope you can be there to support me and help me achieve this. So you guys take care. Thank you so much for the tips, for the hearts, for all of the lovely messages. And as always, if you have any questions or anything else that you want me to answer for you, just drop me a message. Take care and see you soon. Mwah. See you later. Adios. Adios, adios, adios. Bye.